Hi, this is Michael Bigham, CEO, CN Technologies. I wanted to make a video, guys, for you this morning regarding new innovations that I've come up with, new approaches regarding your computer technology, securing your internet, the way it is now. Or in the making the changes necessary to go towards a neuronet, more of a neurologic-based internet, more of a capacity of thought control, technology used to process data, basically cognitive thought data, thought communication. That's basically what neuronet is thought communication. You're basically communicating between each other through the internet using your thoughts, using your ability to access each other's devices using your thoughts, as far as validation through Brain ID, a basic phone number initially to give access, if you want to give access to their thinking, and between communicating between person to person through their thoughts. It's basically kind of like telepathic approach in a sense. You're basically able to connect to someone in their mind, rather than having to use your voice, rather than having to type in text and send messages that way. It's a basic approach that when you use Brain ID technology to secure your thinking, you don't really necessarily have to worry about someone collecting your thoughts or gathering your thoughts or getting into your mind without your permission, because for you to give access to them means that something would pop up on your phone showing you who that person is, a picture of the person, their name, their number, and basically you're able to either give access by touchscreen, so you're able to take your hand on your cell phone and touch the screen and give them access. But it's you that has that permission. You have to give them permission to have access to your thoughts. But if you don't want them to have access to your thoughts anymore, so you can communicate with them, there's always an option to block the user. You can block the user, and then AI has the control of knowing when someone is blocked, so they no longer have access to your thoughts. It'll basically not give them access to your phone number anymore. So you don't necessarily have to change your phone number, but there is a situation where someone could write down that number. So maybe the situation would be, well, I mean, even if they try to write it down, they're not going to be able to enter that number into the computer, because you no longer have a keyboard and you no longer have a mouse. You no longer have a touch screen keypad on your device. So really, there's no really way for them to access that. Now, even if they try to use their thoughts to try to type out that number, they're not actually going to be able to do that either, because once that number is blocked, AI has control of it. So if AI recognizes that their thinking, their motives, their intentions through recording the cognitive thought, AI will also have your thoughts recorded. So when your thoughts are recorded, AI compares that through dynamic distribution and automatically understands that you don't want them having access to your phone number. So you can do it that way too. So I wanted to explain to you guys the addition that I added. I thought about this idea a long time ago, maybe connecting a USB stick, a USB drive into your computer to basically be able to put your fingerprint on that computer to power on your computer, or basically by taking that USB stick out, you actually prevent someone from even having access to powering up your device. But I thought of another way to do it that may be more useful to tech companies, and I'm going to actually read what I wrote. But first of all, I want to be able to explain the whole thing of what I wrote, but I'm just also going to explain my addition to what I wrote. So, your computer's main screen, files, photos, music, internet online data, access to websites, bank accounts, and computer setup accounts, and computer uploads, downloads, software installation data, as well as neural net search data, keeping your identity permanently secure. Your computer will also have fingerprint identification for powering on your computer, cell phone, tablet, home security system. I'm sorry guys, my dog is ripping up my blanket. Stop honey. Home security system, car, or any other device that runs through neural net services. Your computer's built-in fingerprint reader will have a power button located next to it. When you turn on your computer, the operating system will automatically pull up the reader window, and you must verify your print. If someone else copies your fingerprint and attempts to access your computer, you need not worry because Brain ID will not give access. You must validate Brain ID with your fingerprint to have complete access to the web, files, and your device. So it's a built-in set system. You're basically going to have that fingerprint identifier. As far as facial recognition, when it comes to that, I know I explained to you guys that previously before on a lot of other videos that I've done. As far as facial recognition, that is more of a creative approach for online, like hiding who you are. Now, you can have a certain virtual image that you can create through facial recognition that would replicate your face, but it's not going to give an actual picture of you on the internet. So that would actually help with stealing people's identity, because if you can create a virtual image that looks very similar to you but is not actually you, then no one can actually attempt to try to steal your photos and use them in such a way to create some sort of identification purposes for themselves. There's no ability to do that because the virtual image is much in the same way as a gaming image, a video game system, or a software that you can create your own creative models of people that you can actually control in the game. It's just a basic image, a representation of who you are, but just not the actual photo that can indicate all the pinpoints of your face. It's using your own operating system, doing it basically on your own by yourself. In AI, being that it's a self-learner, it could use that to replicate your face. So when you basically go through the process of home screen, on your home screen, when the window pops up to validate the fingerprint so you can't actually turn on your computer. But if you actually attempt to try to use someone else's fingerprint, stop it. If you try to attempt to use someone else's fingerprint, what AI will actually do is turn off your computer automatically. It'll simply say shutting down. So basically that is the basic approach. So fingerprint, stop it, Bella. You know I'm busy, honey. Come on, stop it. She wants all my attention. She's a puppy. So you're going to put your fingerprint on your computer. after you turn the power on. Okay, window's gonna pop up. It's gonna be a screen. It's the same type of window when you set up your computer for first use. When you set up facial recognition through Windows operating system, or you set up your PIN through Windows operating system. You have two sets of security, right? Your home screen PIN, and you have facial recognition. Some computers have a fingerprint where you can simply put your fingerprint on there, and then automatically you have access. But the problem with that is that people can replicate your fingerprint. They can use your fingerprint. They can simply, somehow, some way, as you touch something along the way, a window or whatever it may be, the oils in your finger create an image of your fingerprint on a window. Somebody can simply go over and they can take a piece of tape, just like the officers use the criminal justice system to validate if that person was there that committed a crime. They can use that to simply take your fingerprint and have a copy of it. All they simply need to do is put it on paper and create a wax mold. Put that wax mold on their finger and access your computer. That's all they need to do. It's very, very simple. It's crazy, but it's what they can do. So the way to get around that is to create another sense of security using Brain ID. And the thing about it is that if you use that fingerprint to turn on your computer and you gain access, the only way you're actually going to have complete access is to use Brain ID. The computer uses Brain ID. That means you got to put these headphones on. You got to put a wearable device on that does Brain ID, that does thought control technology. And the way to go about doing that, as far as making it work, is to use the same technology in the software that the CIA has as far as color coding the brain. Certain color codes of the brain. Simply, it's like getting an image of the brain and seeing the fiber structure and creating key pinpoints of the brain. But it's also within the software, you have these color images that simply color codes someone lying, truth, if they're telling the truth, and then a mixture of lying and truth. So each color indicates or represents if someone's telling the truth, if they're not, or if they're kind of stuck in between. If there's a little bit of deception or no deception at all. Kind of a mixture of those things. And the CIA uses that. And a lot of the reason why I know this is because I saw this on a movie. There was a movie about this Russian agent that it was talked about, how would I put it? I forget what it's called, but it was a female Russian agent movie that I saw. And she infiltrated the CIA, and she was from Russia. She was born in Russia, but a lot of her identity was protected because the Russians had an idea that they were going to take children and use them and train them to be agents, and then through the American adoption agency. They'd adopt these children out into America and infiltrate America, so that once these children grew up and they knew exactly what they knew about the CIA or about the Russian CIA, the KGB, what they do is they infiltrate that, and then they get really high, good paying jobs in the CIA. And through that, they'd find out information and trade information to Russia by doing that, as far as secrets and all this other stuff, American government secrets. Well, when I saw that movie, I did see the computer image of a picture of the guy's brain, and the guy was in a room. He was simply in a room, and you could not actually see anything connected to his brain. So my indication was is there had to be something in those walls that created an image of his brain and was able to color code it to see if he was lying or not, to see if he had a cluster or a mixture of truth and false. So I saw different colors, and it was a perfect image of his complete molecular structure in the brain. So I know that can be used, and I know for a fact that is CIA software, that it's reality. It's not fictional. And a lot of the Hollywood movies get their understanding of how to create those movies and the things in it and the technology by knowing the truth about what America or any country has developed. So a lot of those movies are actually factual, and they try to make it as realistic as possible without really getting into too much detail as far as what the CIA has as far as software. But I know that they have that kind of stuff. So that is basically where I'm coming from with being able to secure the internet, being able to secure your computer and everybody's computer. And like I mentioned to you guys before, there's a way that government and the authorities can still have control. And that is to put it in the system that AI, it has the authority to notify authorities when it comes to this. And I did add something to that. So see if I can get to that, what I added. Records. Well, I'll just put it this way. I don't really need to actually read it. See, when it comes to notifying authorities, there'll be a level measurement. There'll be a certain point where you're scored on how many times you become deceptive and what your motives are. And if you reach a certain level where AI starts to get suspicious, then AI will actually notify authorities, and it's up to the authorities to make that determination on whether or not they want to go arrest you by location, by what type of thought you're actually having. So basically AI records the thought, it records your voice, and distinctively through dynamic distribution compares that information. If you become deceptive, if you're lying, if you're telling the truth at the same time, then there's really no indication that there's any problem. You have a motive, but you're simply lying. So now if you're lying completely, then multiple times, I mean, it could be up to 10 times if you're doing it. But there's a certain percentage where someone will act on what they're saying, and there's a certain percentage where somebody is actually kind of thinking about doing it, but they just want to search out for it to try to see if they want to actually respond to what they're thinking. So that's when it comes to the situation where you have a truth and a false search, because you don't want people to know, because it's just a thought. It's not necessarily an attempted motive at that point in time. It's just a thought. You're kind of comparing your own thinking, your own thoughts to each other, but you haven't yet made that determination. So there's a situation where you may not actually get arrested immediately, but through AI and through dynamic distribution, it's like a scale, it's like a level or a number system. If you're lying, say 9 times out of having just the thought of maybe 3 or 4 times thinking about it, and it's a mixture of deception and truth, but your number is 9 when it comes to lying, that's when the authorities have something to worry about. It's based on a level, a number system, a balance, and the scale will go up and the scale will go down on the software, depending upon where you're at. So, it's all up to the individual whether or not they want to continue to lie or be deceptive and do those things, think those things, or have the motivation and desire to attempt to attack or to harm or to gain access to something that they don't need access to. So that's basically the initial approach, the initial idea. And it's not so much a social system. I wouldn't say it's a social system like China, as far as the scale or the measurement. I would say it's based on your choice and giving AI control of that. So it's not necessarily giving government control or the police department control or anybody else control over you. What it is it's a system of reassurance of safety and protection. And AI has control of data. AI has that control. He has the proper control of the property of data. So it's not like the government is searching out for what you're doing. It's not like they're hacking your computer and gaining your files and gaining your information to see what you've been up to. They don't have personal access to all those personal records and files. But AI will give them cognitive thought contact data. They will give them that data, but only if they see there's some sort of threat or an attempt at harming a country or doing whatever. And if you're searching for weaponry, if you're searching for pedophilia material, if you're searching for porn, if you're searching for anything that is or can be used to alter your thinking to make decisions that would otherwise be criminal, then of course there's going to be a situation where they have access to that and they can use those recorded records in the criminal justice system as evidence to prove where your thoughts were and your motives were. So it's not like you can simply hide from the criminal justice system and attempt to get away with what you're doing. So that would help actually resolve the issues with family, getting hurt by other people they don't know, or even people in their families, or even people on the street that simply do something to someone that shouldn't be doing it to them. And they can simply know the thoughts of the individuals to resolve those conflicts. The police can come and say, I know your thoughts already. And here, how can we resolve this issue? And in many cases, you don't really need to put someone in jail. You just need to understand what both sides of the story is between the individuals. Or it could be multiple people. It could be crowds of people coming together and trying to attack somebody. So you can get both sides of the story. You can simply have complete information even before you get into court regarding whatever issue you have. And, it could be up to the judge whether or not they want what the judge wants to do about it. But the attorneys can simply defend the rights and liberties of each individual. But at the same time, you will have a complete and balanced and accurate description of what happened. And one person can't simply lie to the judge. Nobody can lie to the judge. Nobody can lie to anybody because you have that information, that complete information. And you can simply do a playback. You can do a playback on a computer. Just simply validate and say this is what happened. And you can do all of that through AI. So this is Michael James Bigham, CEO, KNCN Technologies. You all have a wonderful day. God bless you. Till my next video. Out.